A little bit of an informational video on how to work with this fixture that we built for cutting off the axle tubes. We were given 6 different samples of these tubes, and this is what we came up to do it with. First, a little bit about hardware. There's some keys you're going to be getting that fit into the saw table. There's a couple extra of these in case you want to mount something else on the saw that you guys design or what have you, but these two will be used for mounting this end and that end of the main fixture. There are 2 keys that are mounted to the bottom of this main fixture. They are not installed right now, but they will be when you get it. I just wanted the fixture to set flat for this video. So once you get this, these 2 keys go into the first key to the right side of the saw if you're facing the control panel. Once you key this into the saw table, that will set the distance required to saw your axle tubes down the center. Once you get this into the saw, you have to remember that you have 18 inches of travel. So that's basically what I've got here. So where you slide this back and forth and where you want to park the saw, that's up to you. We're traveling 14 inches from this hard stop all the way out to this clamp mode right here. So once you determine that and you get this unit locked down to the saw table, the next thing that you'll have to do is mount the end stop for cutting the tubes off to 14 inches. This is also keyed. I don't have the key in it right now. You'll probably receive it with the key zip tied to it, because for setup purposes you're not going to want the key in it. However, when this key is in it and it's set in the next key over on the saw, that will give you the 14 inches that you need to cut the tube off. However, we do need to get this in the proper position in this direction so that we're square to the fixture. My recommendation for doing that would be to take the tube, probably one of these sawed off ones, it'll be a lot easier to handle, and put the top on it and sort of get this key by eye over the top of the key that it's going to be mounted into. There'll be a pin sticking out of this hole. We're waiting for this, got to go out the powder coat, it'll come back. This slides over that pin and then becomes your clamp. There's a common stud that's not in here right now that will be sticking out of here for both this clamp and the clamp for the other op, but let's just talk about this right now. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get this in there, and we're going to want to snug it down, let it find itself square, perpendicular, whatever you want to call it to your saw travel, and then snug it down, and then come back here, like I said, eyeball this over the top of the keyway, and either take a marker and mark the saw table or a light scribe, whatever you want to do, okay, and then flip this out of the way and remove the tube. Go ahead and mount this key with the number 8 screws that hold it in there. Alright, go ahead and slip it into the key on the saw and simply line up your 2 marks, the mark or the edge of the stop with the mark you put on the table. Now you're good to go. Your hardware is all locked in place. There is a special key for that. It's the one that has a 3/8 bolt instead of a 1/2 inch bolt. Alright, so, and it's a different style. The table has different style keys in it, but it is the one with the 3/8 bolt, so it's pretty simple to find. Okay, so now we're ready. The reason that this slides over a pin and comes out and it's removable is because we had as many options as possible, I think, on these brackets on the end, but we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any interference in this area. So if you learn that you can keep this on there, then there's something we can do to the end of the pin to put a washer on there and drill and tap the end, and this can stay on. But for now, we want it to be removable. So whether you're using a lift assist or whatever you're doing at this point, now that the fixture's set up, this particular tube does not have a seam. Some tubes do. There is a notch cut out, and this does rotate so that you can place the seam and the notch in a line, and then you don't have an issue with the seam getting over the stop. So we mount a full tube, right, a full axle tube. Be sticking out, This will automatically have your 14 inches set. This will slide on. It can remain on through this entire operation of no matter how many tubes you want to cut. Simply just roll it back and let it sit out of the way. And like I said, if we find that that can stay there and it doesn't interfere with anything, if you want to leave it on, all we really got to do is take these 2 set screws out, pull the pin out, have your tool maker's drill and tap the end of it, put a washer on the end, screw a nut in there, and it'll stay. But we have limited samples and different things, so we can only say we want to keep it away, so we want it to be removable when you're doing the other operations. So you cut off all your tubes during that op, it can stay here. Cut off all your tubes, remove it, store it, move on. Okay, the end cut operation after everything is sawed off, I would recommend deburring this end of the tube that was sawed. Not doing that is just going to pack excess chips and different things in this end of the clamp device that are going to just cause premature wear, and it's not going to be a good thing. Plus it'll be sharp and unsafe. So the next thing then, we have a common stud here that clamp back there used when it flipped down. We're going to use that same stud to clamp this foot. But however, we've got a clamp off and deburred tool. Now I have 6 tubes. 5 tubes had seams. 4 of those tubes were outside. Those seams were outside of this 180-degree sweep here. One of them was. That if you find one that has it in that area, you're probably going to have to take a Christmas tree and just grind that seam back about a ½ inch, not very deep at all. This is only 3/8 deep on each end. But again, you're just going to damage your clamping apparatus and get stuff stuck in there if you don't work that seam a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to mount a tube ready for cutoff. All right. That lined up. I'm going to just kind of rotate that a little bit when I take this up. And the other day I just used an 8-inch crescent wrench and I put a little snug on that and you couldn't move the tube. So basically the hard stop is keeping the saw from being able to pull the tube down. The end clamp's keeping the tube against the hard stop so the saw can't push the tube. And then our main clamping is really being done by this clamp right here that's going to slide over that same stud, screw the nut down, tighten it up. Now you're ready to go, and your saw is going to come in here and it's going to section this tube right through all these components like you wanted and exit. And if you can make the saw pause here, that wouldn't be a bad idea to make sure when this falls away that it doesn't fall crooked and the saw doesn't back up into it or what have you. But I'm not sure if you can do that or not with that marble saw. So anyhow, I think at that point what I would do is I'd break this loose and I'd leave it there, and then I would go ahead and back this off as far as I needed it. And this would still be holding the half of the tube there for me. Then I would take this off by hand and lift it up high enough to slide the tube out, and then I'd be able to remove my half-cut tube. So that's basically how the fixture works and how I would go about setting it up on your saw table. If there's any other questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them. I appreciate your time and your business. Thank you.